Philadelphia Phillies and the Houston Astros. Astros bullpen, .88 ERA so far this postseason. That's 5 earned runs over 51 and a third innings. Brian Abreu, Ryan Preston in particular, combined allowed just 1 unearned runs in 21 and a third innings this postseason. They've struck out 31 of 78. I mentioned that because we're talking about these starters, but Houston's bullpen's been lights out once they turn it over to them, and that's so critical because Philly's got to score runs. Hit this cold patch the last couple of games, and where does it often stem from, Anthony? Their top four.
Their top four. And you look at the top four, those are the guys that have to get it going for Philly. They are the pieces that have gotten it going almost all postseason long. Schwarber, Hoskins, Realmuto, and Harper. The problem is, after those four, there's not much there. And this is nothing against Castellanos. He's a great hitter, hasn't had it this year. Bohm has had a good year. He doesn't provide a lot of pop. Segura, kind of a spray the ball kind of a guy. Those top four have got to do it. Schwarber, he's a home run, walk type guy. Hoskins, very similar. Realmuto can put the ball in play and do things. He can run. He does it all. Bryce Harper is obviously your glue. And yesterday, we saw Justin Verlander and that staff attack him with fastballs. It was incredible to see. But here you see, as that four go this postseason, so go the Phillies. It is all, I mean, it's hard to say it's their fault if they lose, because it's not. You'd like to see something happen from the rest of that lineup. But realistically, it is these guys. When they get it going, when they are right, when they're producing, this team wins. Period. End of story.
It's a really good point, because you often try to look at the depth of the lineup and go, hey, the Padres against the Dodgers, 7 through 9 stepped up, Trent Grisham, et cetera. But honestly, sustainable success, your stars have got to deliver.
Yeah, no doubt. And the only way they're going to be able to do that if they go out there with a very specific plan. You mentioned that bullpen. You cannot go out there and default nobody. You have to know exactly who's on the mound, what do they do best, how are they going to attack me, and then you have to go hunting when you are out there at the plate. Because if you're trying to cover it all, you're going to be in trouble. But Harper, some of those guys, is really good at that. I expect Anthony is going to get a lot more fastballs inside against Framber Valdez with a two-seamer. Look what happened against Verlander. They attacked him up and in.
It was incredible. I mean, Verlander just attacked him, all four-seamers. Ended up on the game, Harper saw 22 fastballs out of 26 pitches. That's your game plan. I'm going to attack him, and Verlander especially, all fastballs. It was, I'm going to attack you up at the top of the zone or above, and if you swing, good for me. If you don't, oh well, I'm going to go after the next guy.
So far, Bryce Harper is hitting .250 in the World Series, but .429 on base and a .500 slugging percentage. I know Valdez has been lights out, but if the Phillies and Harper are able to step up in Game 6, I wouldn't be surprised if number 3 gets them to a Game 7.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier today. Maybe it suits them a little better just because they've seen so many rising fastballs and have swung underneath those. Maybe that sinker helps them. So that remains to be seen. It's just a theory, but obviously the Philadelphia fans are hoping that there's a repeat of 2019.
And if the Astros win Game 6, potential World Series MVPs might be Framber Valdez. If he pitches another great game, might also be Jeremy Pena. To win the LCIS and a World Series MVP the first year after replacing Correa, remarkable.
And a rookie, and I mean, just you can go on and on with that. And a Gold Glove this year. This guy's doing some incredible things. He's an incredible baseball player. It's among a large crop of young players that are fun to watch, but he is the one right now in the World Series that's doing it.
Who wins Game 6?
I think the Phillies get it.
I think the Phillies do.
All right, potentially
7.
We'd love to see that if you're a baseball fan. For A series of the current 2-3-2 format that have been tied through 4 games, the Game 5 winner on the road going back home for Games 6 and 7 have won the series 79% of the time. The 2019 Astros, one of 5 clubs that failed to close out the series. They lost Games 6 and 7 to the Nationals at Minute Maid Park, hoping to avoid that this time around as they are in the driver's seat, up 3-2 against the Philadelphia Phillies. Game 6 goes Saturday, 8:03 Eastern on Fox. It'll be Wheeler versus Valdez as we wheel you in and welcome you inside MLB Tonight. Adnan Burke alongside Carlos Pena and Anthony Recker. So a part of me says, fellas, it's kind of gone according to script. I think a lot of people would have said Astros in 6, a favorite prediction. But the way we've gotten here certainly is impactful and surprising. And I think for me, more than anything, Anthony, I go, wow, Justin Verlander finally got his first World Series win, and he did it in a pivotal spot on Game 5.
It's crazy because until I heard that stat last night, I would have never believed you. He's been in several World Series. He's pitched so many big games, and he's done fairly well. So it was kind of surprising to see that. But great to see him get that win. Like you said, I think we are where we expected to be, but the route here has been crazy. The highs and lows, the roller coaster that it's been. This has been one of the most fun World Series I can remember.
Yeah, the trajectory has been totally just off. I mean, when you think about the fact that here goes Philadelphia, they win game one over there in their own ballpark, own home turf.
Yep.
And then they lose the next two. I mean, you want to take advantage of how difficult it is to play in Philly and the way that the Astros rebounded after that very devastating loss on the game one over there. So really impressive. Houston was definitely favorites at the beginning of all this. We just didn't expect this type of trajectory.
No, Philly's offense so potent after game 3 in the driver's seat, then they get no hit. And then in game 5, just outstanding pitching, not only Verlander, but the rest of that bullpen. That's why Houston right now has the edge. Let's bring in our friend Lauren Gardner, doing a fantastic job on the road all playoff long. She joins us from Houston. So, LG Red, Astros returning home 1 win away from a championship. And, of course, everyone's favorite, the sentimental favorite, Dusty Baker, 1 win away from stamping his Hall of Fame resume, just like he was 20 years ago. Is that top of mind right now for Dusty and the team?
Well, Adnan, of course, he's so close, he can practically taste it. But, of course, that's not top of mind. It is capturing that ring. But he was so radiant following last night's win. And it wasn't just because of the victory itself. It was because his horse, Justin Verlander, finally got his first World Series individual victory. And, you know, it's just so interesting to see. You see Jeremy Pena here giving high fives, doing his thing after this victory. He was so close. You mentioned him being just 1 win away with the San Francisco Giants back in 2002 against the Anaheim Angels. Now, the only difference here is they did let it slip through their fingers in Southern California. Now they have the last 2 games back here on home field. And you know what, Adnan? He's been asked this question so many times, not just throughout the postseason, but throughout the course of this regular season. When he was asked about it last night, he knows he has to be present in the moment.
Well, not really. You know, I mean, you can't worry about things that are out of your control, really. The only thing that's in your control is today. And that's not even in your control sometimes. So, no, I haven't thought about it. I mean, it's going to take care of itself. You know, it always has. And all I know is that worry doesn't do any good at all. Worry just stops you from getting sleep. And there's an old saying that don't worry because worries about itself. And, you know, worry does no good at all. So I've just learned over a period of time that, hey, you just live your life, try to do the right thing, seize the moment, and enjoy as much as you can. I mean, enjoy this ride. And then when the game time comes, you know, I always thought, hey, when I'm supposed to win, I'm going to win. But in the meantime, I'm just going to go out there and enjoy what I've been doing for a long time.
And Adnan, that was actually today via the Zoom availability, both teams making their way here to Houston this afternoon, taking a little bit of additional rest. And Dusty, you saw him in the dugout, dabbing everyone up. He is very much so a player's coach. He coached some of the best in the business, and Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr., Joey Votto can describe him as I just love Dusty. That's all there is to it. We saw Jeremy Pena a little bit earlier, the future star who last night in his media availability was asked about his skipper, and he responded by saying he automatically welcomed me and brought out the best in me, let me be who I truly am, and referred to him as a legend. Well, he didn't know that the legend was actually in the room as he was waiting to take the podium himself. The two had a really nice exchange and embrace. And, of course, now the mantra is the next mountain to climb for the Houston Astros, aside from capturing that World Series ring, is to do it for Dusty.
In Dusty we trust you, as one might say. Meantime, for the Phillies, LG, their ace all-star had his first hiccup of the postseason, so Zach Wheeler and the Phillies got to work to see what happened. What did they glean from Thursday's bullpen session?
Yeah, it was a really effective session. Myself and Mark Matcham, our great researcher here at MLB Network, actually pitched for Stetson in college. So we had a really good vantage point of that bullpen session. They were working on actually moving his hands and his delivery outside his glove and kind of getting behind the ball a little bit quicker. As we saw in that Game 2 start here in Houston, he lost a few ticks off the velo, and he gave up 4 earned runs in that outing. And that was really out of character, especially after coming off the IL, after missing some time in September from that forearm tendonitis tendonitis. So they're wondering if maybe that injury was flaring up again, or maybe it had something to do with taking the ball to the knee in Game 5 of the LCS in Philadelphia. He was insistent that it's just fatigue. So was Rob Thompson, his manager. So they did have a really effective session. We watched the whole pitching staff as well as Wheeler watch back the video. They all kind of smiled. They dabbed each other up. So hopefully this will be good news for the Phillies and their ace.
You mentioned a few ticks off the Wheeler. You're, of course, the queen of TikTok here at MLB Network. So still expecting to get Joel Sherman to do a few dance moves with you at some point.
You know, we took a road trip this morning at 6 a.m. on 2.5 hours of sleep from Philly up to 95 to Newark. And he said no social media, Adnan. I was really disappointed. But we listened to a lot of Captain and Tennille.
Oh, okay. I was curious what the musical choice was. That's not what I was expecting. But I guess Joel's a big deal. No social media. You can respect that choice. Great job as always, Lauren. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Adnan.
All right, let's talk more about Zach Wheeler, what he brings to the table. It's interesting because normally I would think, Anthony, this is the spot. If you're a Phillies fan, hey, we're down 3-2. We got our ace going, but Wheeler was not his best last time out. The velo was down 95.1 miles an hour, lowest since July 28th. What can you expect from the guy?
Yeah, I think with what we saw from Zach Wheeler in his last outing, against this Astros team, they came out swinging the bats early. So to me, he's going to have to make some adjustments. And you're going to see it here. It was really the top 4, top 5 in this Houston lineup. They had made a concerted effort to come after him right out the gate. And we're going to show some of these at-bats. But I can tell you that of those top 5 in that Houston lineup, they did not take a strike until their third at-bat. Altuve, first pitch, took the first pitch of that at-bat. Otherwise, they were absolutely hacking. So to me, if I'm the catcher, I'm coming out here to Wheeler before this next start. What kind of adjustments do we need to make? You are aggressive in the zone naturally. 67% first pitch strike on the year for Zach Wheeler. So he comes after guys. That's part of what makes him who he is. I can't necessarily take that away from him, but I have to tell him, look, we got to see what they're going to be doing in this game. Are they going to take the same approach? If they're going to be this aggressive, let's use it to our advantage and tease the zone. Let's use a little bit more of that strike to ball, get some early sings, get some quick outs, the way that you did at times in that game, but obviously they were able to burn you at times as well. So we need to kind of get on the same page here. Use the aggressiveness, but again, strike to ball more than just pounding the zone is what I would try to do early and see where these Astros are at.
I would say he can be aggressive, but he has to pitch inside. I mean, a lot of those hard hit balls we saw were out over the plate. He can attack them. Just make sure you get him that in their kitchen. I think that's when he's best. That's the black belt Zach Wheeler when he's pitching in effectively.
It's amazing the journey for Wheeler. This is a guy obviously had serious issues with injuries. Tommy John gets a massive contract from the Phillies to like his peripherals, and so far he has been worth it. He has been as advertised. Can he step up in Game 6? That remains to be seen on Saturday night. Still to come here on MLB Tonight. We're just getting warmed up, but lots more to discuss as we dive into this Game 6. We'll turn our attention towards Houston starter Framber Valdez has been nailed so far. Will he lock it down for Houston again? We'll dive in next.